We can pass the mic around. No questions. Dimitri, all right? Favorite quote? Ooh. I don't have that big of an ego. Bob, you have any? You said the Zig Ziglar one. I actually have it.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it a quote, but if anybody's familiar with Teddy Roosevelt's The Man in the Arena, when I did my change of command on the tail fin of the USS Missouri in Pearl Harbor, when I left command as the skipper of USS Key West, that was my quote that I read. Get in the arena. That's what it's all about. It's not the critic that counts. That one.
Sitting above my desk, so I'm glad that I asked that question.
I think mine's through Napoleon Hill. I think it was, no time is the right time. You just kind of have to go for it. You just got to do it. A lot of people are like, no, it's not the right time. No, and I'm always like, it's never the right time. Let me just do it. And they're like, oh, okay, Joanna. Did you find yours?
Yeah, I'm just going through my notes. This one's actually kind of good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely on the kind of spiritual side of stuff. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Deepak Chopra. I don't even know where I got this from. It's just in my notes. So it goes, the struggles and obstacles we encounter in our daily lives are the result of losing contact with the cosmic intelligence of our present awareness. When you recognize an issue that needs attention, hold an open and neutral intention for a creative solution. Then you let go and allow the presence of your individual awareness to join the universal awareness and show you what's next. It's pretty deep, but I think it's like very critical that your intentions are in the right place when you're starting a company or really just anything. I think that's pretty much it. Do we have another question? Yeah.
Yeah, I had a question. So I think it would be beneficial if you could kind of talk on when you were building your business before you had a full schedule. Kind of like how you talked, you had that one appointment, but you were acting like you had the full schedule.
Mm-hmm.
So before you have that full schedule, what are you kind of doing at the beginning of the week to fill in those times where you're not going to be actually meeting people or meeting clients? And I guess most of the times you would try to fill that up with some kind of prospecting activity. So I guess could you just kind of talk on how you structured your own 8 to 5 workday, even though when you first started you weren't seeing clients the whole time 8 to 5, and you had to figure out what to do in between that time.
Mm-hmm.
How did you stay busy?
Yeah, you got to have a little bit of discipline, right? So I put together basically a content creation plan, and I just gave topics, and every week I had to write an article or do post around things. So it was all about creating content, just sharing thoughts, ideas, excerpts from my book, and I had it all laid out every week. So that was kind of part of it. The other thing, the funny thing is, all my clients are not in Illinois. They're in Houston, Texas, or Calgary. I would fly into town, and I would just make up appointments. Hey, I'm coming in town. I'm going to go see somebody over at BP. I had no appointment at BP. But the minute I said I was going to BP, the guy over at, and I just had to go. And sometimes I went and I sat in my hotel room writing content. But, you have to fill some structure and do it around content creation. Today, I'm a big believer in just social media content and not junk, obviously. Give some good thought to what you're sharing. Share a story. And get engagement with people. I'm amazed at the number of people that will comment on my LinkedIn articles and just engage with me. And then 2 years later, they might be a client. So anyway, getting back to your question, have a structure. Don't forget the life you're living, which is not a 9 to 5. So I did not, I'd get up in the morning, I'd go to the coffee shop because I couldn't afford a Spaces at the time. But I would go and I would just have some structure. But if I got tired and couldn't write anything creative, I would go for, a bike ride or something, or go for a walk and clear my mind. Tim Ferriss, I read his book, 10 years ago, and that's the life I wanted to live, and I do it. Wherever I want to go. So, yeah, just go. I don't work 4 hours. I work 2. But live the life you want to live. Don't fall into that trap of 9 to 5. Even if you start your own company, don't do the same crap you did in corporate America. You know, if you want to sleep until 10, if you're that person, fine. I get up at 5 because it's quiet and the dog's sleeping, the kids are sleeping. But anyway, so structure it, but have some content creation. It'll make you feel good. If you're a creator, you have to create. So create something. Build a model. We're consultants. We write models because that's how we sell stuff. Write articles, share it. That's all I got. And then go. Just go try to see people.
Yeah, no.
Knock on doors.
When I had the meeting, I had a lot of adrenaline pumping with anger, but I was next to a lot of hotels, like tons of people walking around. It was a beautiful day. So I just started to talk to people randomly. I was like, hey, how's it going? What do you do? Blah, 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 blah. Oh, how's your day? Yeah, I know. But I was just like, I had that energy. And I was like, I am in the city. I didn't live downtown. I lived an hour away. I was like, I'm going to make the most out of this day. So I kept talking to people. Got cards, got numbers. Went to a bar. Couldn't afford a drink. So I pretended to have like a cocktail, put like a little lemon wedge and whatever. You guys know the drill. So, and just kept talking. I had energy. Why not? And I made a lot of amazing clients that I worked for or that they needed funding. I got 2 clients that day. And, you know, I'm sure I blew it in that meeting, but hey, those 2 people, that was amazing because I didn't stop. So just keep going. Make yourself busy. You know, there's people, there's media, there's content. You can do whatever. You know, the world is yours.
Yeah, there's always something to do. It's hard though, because sometimes you feel lost. I did a lot when I was starting out. I was like, there's always things to do, but it's really important to make sure you're doing the right thing, because you could be, and this is why like working hard versus working smart is so important. You could be working your ass off for 12 hours a day for a whole year. But if you're frustrated with that work, if you're not enjoying it and you're not putting positive energy into that, I could work 1 hour a day. And if I was enjoying it, loving it, and it was on track with where I wanted to go and everything, like my 1 hour destroys yours because you were working your ass off going the wrong direction, right? And I tell people this all the time, like, and it's one thing that I did and have like come to learn, because I was spending so much time just making myself busy and doing things, and there's no results. Like no ROI was coming from any of that work. And a lot of times I had to completely redo it or do something totally different because I didn't take the time to learn the proper way to do it in the first place. So it's tricky. Like if, you know, like when you're starting out, you might not have clients, you might not really have that much work to do, but you can always learn and study and become an expert in whatever field. Like pick something that is like super interesting to you and learn from the top people. I mean, it's kind of crazy that you like content creation because your space, you're probably killing it because no one else is doing it. You're in, you know, the energy space. I don't know how many people are putting out content, but it's funny too that you recommend that too, and you've got success from it. So I agree. I think content's huge now. So there's always stuff that you can be doing, but I also see a lot of people putting out a lot of content and spending a lot of time on video and stuff. And I'm like, dude, you're wasting all your time because you don't know what you're doing and you're not an expert in the field and you're acting like you are. And you're doing all these videos and they're all getting like 10 views for like years. And so that's what I'm saying. Like make sure what you're doing is, you know, is working, right? Like don't do something if it's not working. Is that... Yeah. Okay. Yep. Another question?
So you guys kind of have a personal brand. Kind of express how you do your personal brand.
Yeah. I mean, I actually try to, with Entre, I try to stay out of the face of it as much as possible, because to me, a symbol in a company brand can be and is much more powerful, because more people can relate to it. Like Gary V he is the brand. Most people don't even know he has a company. They just think he's like this guy. Like, so if he dies, their company and everything that they built is toast, gone completely. So I don't want to build a company like that. So yeah, I mean, like there is a lot of benefits of having a personal brand because you can do stuff yourself, speaking gigs, be an author, all of that stuff. And it's important as well to have a good reputation and all of that as well. But I just kind of think of it like that. I know you probably want to be a thought leader in the space too.
Yeah, in consulting services, you have to have brand recognition. It's all about relationships. I'm kind of the old guy that they trust. Yeah, but I don't want my business model to rely on all my personal brand. So I didn't name my company Koonce Consulting. I named it High Reliability Group. Sounded like a group. It was a group of one. But I had a vision.
Millennial entrepreneur group.
Right. You got to make it look big, right? Fake it till you make it. But I do want a lasting entity beyond the Bob Koonce. But at the same time, you can't deny the personal branding and power of that and the relationships, especially in consultative sales. Because when I sit down across the table from the CEO of a company and she writes a check for 10 of my consultants, she's expecting me to deliver that. And it's my reputation. Eventually, I want that to be, 100 consultants with 10 people selling 10 other people's work, right, Mike? But so it's a dual thing almost, and I'm trying to be very careful not to like over. I don't want I think Gary Vee has a little more of a structure behind him than VaynerMedia, but you're right. You got to be careful not to like brand yourself out of a scalable, because who's going to want to work for you too if you're too so the people that I've drawn into my company, I think, have come because there's an opportunity beyond just listening to Bob, because that gets really old. So build it.
Thank you. Anyone else with other questions? My personal brand?
You got a brand?
A brand? Yeah, it's, you know what? Yeah, it's me, guys. It's just, yeah. And I was telling this to my brother. He was like, my real name's Joanna. So he's like, why do you call yourself JoJo? That makes me so mad. And I'm like, all right, listen, kid, okay? And I'm like, I gave him a few examples, and I was like, you have to understand that JoJo is my confident, my exploding, my different business side. Joanna, yeah, it's my alter ego. It's weird how it happened. But it just did. And then it's starting to really, people started to remember. Then on Instagram or anywhere, it's JoJo from Chicago. Add me, by the way, guys. And I'm just going to plug it in right there. But yeah, and it's just like, people will always remember me as the very energetic, hype, and that's what I try to aspire to be. I'm going to try my best 150% to make sure I connected you with the right person, with the right deal, and make sure that you're just enjoying life. If I'm with you, you're going to have a good time. We're going to have some coffee. We're going to, I don't know, do our nails. I don't know. Even if you're a guy, we're going to do it. Doesn't matter. So, yeah.
What experience do you guys have prior to being an entrepreneur that possibly helped you or harmed you in your business?
Yeah, we both come from engineering backgrounds, but I'll share kind of my quickly kind of how I thought. So engineering is weird because like literally high school, college, all I was doing was solving problems, like math problems, engineering problems, and I think it just relates super well to entrepreneurship. So even though I'm not using my engineering degree, which, my parents aren't too happy about, but it is what it is, and I got a lot of debt for that. I thought it set me up well for the world of entrepreneurship and the world of business, because literally most of what I do every day is put out fires and solve problems, because there's a million things that go wrong all the time. And you're, as a CEO, as the person in charge, you have to you're responsible for everything. Everything's top down. If anything in the company is not working, it's because of me. So it's like you have to take responsibility for it and just be good at solving problems. So I think that definitely helped a lot with it. And I think being an engineering student that was also kind of outgoing. I mean, I was in a fraternity. I have a couple guys from college, that we're still friends with. And I think that helped a lot too, because I wasn't just hanging out with engineering kids. because I was like bottom of my class. I was like the worst engineering student, but I got one of the best jobs because I could talk to people and, you know, it worked out. And I think that goes a long way, and just kind of iterating on what we've talked about earlier too, networking, just meeting people and knowing people. The more people, if you know, the winners are always who knows the most people in a lot of ways, right? If I know 1 million people, like if 1 million people know who I am and I know them in a good way, right? Not like Antonio Brown or anything now, but or like something. But yeah, if you know a lot of people, like there's endless possibilities of opportunity. Every person is a gateway to endless opportunities. It's kind of wild. You never know who that one person is going to introduce you to or whatever. So if are you in college or you're okay, yeah, I would just meet as many people. Yeah, it's huge. Yeah. Bob share too.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit. I grew up on a farm. In the farming community, I didn't realize it, but all you have is entrepreneurs. They're small business people, whatever you want, or large, but and so I think that shaped me a little bit. And then my father and his brothers lost everything when I was 12 on the farm, so I got very adverse to risk through that. So the combination of the two, I think, kind of set me up for a person who doesn't take a lot of risks, but has to be a business person, has to own. So I think that's shaped kind of how I approach things and why I have to have positive cash flow, and I don't take big risks, but I'm going to win at the end of the day. And the other thing is the personality. I mean, I was an electrical engineer. Any electrical engineers in here? You can't spell geek without double E, right? You know, I lived in a fraternity that was for farmers, farmhouse, if you've ever heard of it. They were all Ag Econ majors. They're all bankers now. They're killing it because they were partying, and I was trying to keep up with them, but it was hurting my grades. But in the long run, it became I could actually relate to people better than my other engineer friends who couldn't. And that's fine. They were good at what they're good at. I am not going to design you anything. I'm a terrible engineer. But I'm pretty good talking to people. So I think all those things, but everybody's so unique. Don't overthink it. Be who you are. Be you. But people are important. I want to tell one quick story, if I could, about I was traveling overseas with a 2-star admiral and a 3-star equivalent. It's called selective service in the military. I was a lieutenant commander, middle manager level. We were in Africa, and then we went up to Afghanistan. We went to Bahrain. And the civilian guy had the money. He had a big budget. This was back in the War on Terror, 2007. And they were going to leave me in Bahrain to help with the terrorist situation. And there was a peer that was with me, another middle-managed kind of guy. And he focused on procedures and was in the computer all the time. And he thought he was impressing the admiral and this 3-star equivalent civilian with all the money by being like, grinding it out. While I was just sitting there smoking a cigar with these old guys, listening to them talk and not saying a word, but I wanted to hear every word they said. I wanted to be present. 6 years later, that civilian was on the board of directors for Rolls-Royce. He remembered me because I was listening. He called me up and asked me to do a consulting gig in London. That's the kind of power of relationships. Even you don't have to impress somebody, just listen, learn, especially with more experienced people around you. But be present, and don't think that they're watching you to see how much you're grinding it out on your laptop. They're more impressed if your ears are open, because you only have one life. Spend it listening and learning and talking with people, and it will pay back. So
I love that.
No, it's good.
Yeah. We have one mouth and 2 ears, so we should listen twice as much as we talk. It's always good to be the dumbest person in the room, so that you can just take it all in. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Do we have any other questions? We good?
Please.
All right. Thank you guys so much for coming out. If you want to get into our beta app, we're going to be rolling that out probably next week if everything goes well. We're internally testing it now, so you can just go to joinentre.com. If you want to follow us or anything, it's just at joinentre. And we'll be reposting stuff and following you guys back. So feel free to hit us up. I know it's at Spaces Works too. And yeah, I mean, take the free day pass, and thank you guys so much for coming. We have another like hour, I think, to hang out. The pizza is here, and there's still some drinks left too. So thank you guys so much. Thank you, Bob, speaker.